everybody, and welcome to Community Connections. I'm Marnie, your host. It is a beautiful middle of April going on here in the Prescott Valley and Quad Cities area. Glad you're joining us because a lot of things going on. First, want to tell you, we've got a new name. We were always Channel 56 with Prescott Valley. Now we are Prescott Valley TV, and we can be found on Sparklight 1056 because it's HD now. So those of you who know the difference between HD and your regular channeling. Anyway, so it's PVTV, but it's 1056, and just moving in a new direction, moving forward as we always do in Prescott Valley. So anyway, keep an eye on it. We also stream also on our website. It's prescottvalley-az.gov. So it's a new website going on to moving forward again. We're a government agency, not the chamber, but the town of Prescott Valley, and it just makes sense to be a .gov. So we're going to get started with the show today. My first guest is Kathy Heath. She is the Director, Secretary, Board Member for LASER, which stands for Large Animal Shelter and Emergency Readiness. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you, Marnie. Thanks for this opportunity.
Grabbing that last two words, emergency readiness, a lot of people are aware that we have the Crook Fire going on, happening down out by...
Right now,
going on the Groom Creek area out that way. How does that impact you now, your organization?
LASER is currently on a standby basis. Because it's up in the mountains, there are not a lot of residents or large animals, barn animals in that area. However, if, depending on which way the fire moves, if it isn't contained soon and spreads, we will activate immediately.
Okay, so that's the emergency readiness. Let's talk about the organization itself. When did you first come to fruition?
LASER started in February of 2019 as a result of some past fires we had. We were trying to shelter barn animals through a different organization that wasn't really set up for barn animals. We had the Goodwin fire here in 2017. Over 7,000 people were evacuated and 200 barn animals needed shelter. And we did it, but it could have been better organized, so LASER was born to create a little more structure.
Okay, so you're talking about large animals, barn animals. What types of animals then do you shelter or help?
We shelter all types of equines, horses, minis, donkeys, mules. We shelter goats, sheep, pigs, chickens, emus, and rabbits.
Okay, and alpacas.
And alpacas and llamas.
We love our alpacas around
here. Yes, we do. They're so darn cute.
Yes.
But we do not accept commercial herds. Because
see.
Businesses should have an emergency plan as part of their business protocol.
Okay, so barn animals, not dogs and cats. That's another organization.
Dogs and cats are handled by Animal Disaster Services.
Okay. So when, let's say, there's a disaster emergency, do you transport, or do they transport to a shelter that you set up?
Typically, the owners will bring their animals to us. LASER is the shelter, the destination. We do not transport.
Okay. Do you have a physical facility?
We do. We're so fortunate. Yavapai County is proactive in emergency readiness. The Board of Supervisors recently dedicated a large animal shelter specifically to be run by LASER out by Arizona Downs. There are 190 stalls out there, and they stand ready for us anytime we need them.
When have you used that since? Well, you've only been here since organized since 2019. The Goodwin fire was 2017, but have you had to use that since then?
We have been activated 6 times in 3 years, and on standby now 6 times. So that's 12 times we have been ready to open that shelter. We did open it 6 times, stood ready. Our volunteers were there. It was stocked and ready to go. Thankfully, the first responders got the fires contained before we had to accept animals.
That's always the best solution.
It is. And we use that location for drills for our volunteers. We practice, and we're having several drills this spring.
So tell me a little bit about the organizational structure. Is it staffed? Do you have paid employees, or is it mostly volunteer run?
We are an all-volunteer, 501c3 local nonprofit. We work with the Office of Emergency Management in Yavapai County. They activate us when there is an emergency. And we have a 6-person board of directors and currently about 65 volunteers, all trained and ready.
So how are you funded then?
Laser is powered entirely by donations. So we have great community partnerships with businesses, with local equine groups, with individuals here. We've had a lot of support through the Arizona Community Foundation with grants, but businesses like Olson's will provide the hay we need. We have Prescott Animal Hospital on standby if we need veterinarian service. We have State Farm Insurance just gave us a wonderful grant to promote our organization. There's been a great deal of support from our community.
And then also, it's run by volunteers, so that keeps, there's no cost in
There are no salaries.
So how does somebody become a volunteer? You said you had 65 volunteers. What do they do?
Well, our volunteers can get an application through our website. We have different levels for our volunteers, depending on their skill level and their choice, whatever they would like to get involved in. We need people to help set up the shelter. We need people to feed and clean the stalls and water and do wellness checks on the animals. We need people to do the intake, which is probably the most stressful part. When all the trucks and trailers show up during an evacuation, we take accurate information on the owner and the animal and make sure that the animal goes back to the right person when it's all over.
Absolutely. And then you talk about relying on donations. So are you set up for monthly contributions? Can somebody, I mean, this is an animal-loving community.
It is.
All the way across, whether it's small little cats and dogs or it's large animals. So I know there's a lot of people that, are looking to support an organization such as yours.
And, none of us would leave home without our animals, right? So
I pack them first.
Yeah. So, yes, we do have a great deal of support from the community. Donations can be made through our website. We have a recurring donation program now called Keep the Light On, which fits nicely into your monthly budget and helps sustain Laser.
So what types of other programs do you have that you do? Are you specifically shelter and emergency?
We shelter during evacuations. That is specifically that is our mission. And we also, it's twofold. We also spread information about emergency preparedness. We do community presentations. We're always glad to do that for neighborhoods and service organizations and local clubs.
Well, I'm very familiar with you. You're doing an excellent job as far as getting the outreach. You're still a young organization, only 3 years old, and whether we call 2020 being a year or not, but only 3 years old, getting out there and really appreciate what you do. Let's give real quick, because we're running out of time, your website.
Our website is laser-shelter.org.
Great, Kathy Heath. Thank you for joining us here on Community Connections. Thank you for what you do, taking care of our large barn animals. Short break. We'll be right back here on Community Connections.
We develop quality citizens who keep our core, our country, and our communities side by side on the winning side. Not for glory, but for honor. For a code that isn't written or spoken, but lived. It's what we do. It's who we are. It's the battle cry of our fighting spirit. Battles won. See all the battles Marines fight to win at marines.com.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers, so you can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandpa and grandma need them.
Thank you, first responders.
We look out for the helpers because they look out for us.
At the end of the day, this is what I signed up for as a first responder, and this is what I love to do. And I'm going to continue going to work day in and day out and providing help to those that need it.
Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders. Love you. Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thanks.
And welcome back to Community Connections. My next guest is Charlie Arnold. If you don't know what's going on out here in Prescott Valley over by Arizona Downs, maybe you're missing something, but he's here to talk about it. It is the new Wheelhouse Sports Complex. Charlie is the co-founder and co-owner, co-director it's a 501c not-for-profit sports facility for, well, Charlie, tell us, for everything?
For everything.
Pretty
That's right.
close.
Pretty darn close. Marnie, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you, Charlie.
Yes.
We're excited.
We're super excited about the Wheelhouse coming to Prescott Valley.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this thing started back of a napkin 3 years ago.
I love those stories, you know.
I know. It just, the back of that thing, you start writing it out, and the next thing you know, 3 years later, you're building this tremendous program. 60,000 square feet, 12 acres, 14 different sports, and it's bringing what people have talked about for decades, more things for youth, more opportunities for family, more opportunities for the community, all coming together in one place. This mayor and council saw the vision that we had and helped make it happen, and it's coming. We're going to have that community open house May 6th, starting in the afternoon, and it's a great chance for the community to come out and see just what the Wheelhouse has to offer.
Well, okay, so I just kind of mentioned a little bit in the opening of where you're located, but can you give us an exact location?
Absolutely. So if you're taking Highway 89A right out towards the base of Mingus, you turn right at the horse track there, and you'll make your first left. We've got great signage. It's very easy to find us. We are the gigantic blue and gray building. Like, it's hard to miss. It is the broad side of a barn.
Yes.
It is right there, and all you have to do is follow that signage into our parking lot, and you will find us.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the sports that you're going to be offering out there. So it's strictly recreational, right?
Right. So we offer both youth and adult leagues.
Okay.
And some of it is really competitive, and some of it's just recreational drop-in leagues.
Okay.
So I've been coaching hockey in the area for quite a while. I grew up playing hockey here as a kid, and
So we're talking about inline hockey.
inline hockey.
Okay.
Yep. And so we have a really dynamic program that already exists in Prescott, and we're going to be bringing that into Prescott Valley. Right now, about 40% of our kids that play are from Prescott Valley. So you can sign up and come to drop-in hockey. You can join one of the rec leagues, or you can get into the travel program and travel all over the country. Last year, our travel programs brought home over 12 medals from national events, including a silver medal from the Junior Olympics. So
My goodness,
we produce
wow.
some big athletes
Sure.
here. But we have inline hockey, we have boxing, we have wrestling, we have volleyball, we have futsal, we have indoor soccer, we have
Futsal.
Futsal is indoor soccer on sport court. So instead of when you think of like indoor soccer, you're kicking the ball off the wall, and it has a lot of traditional soccer. This is smaller, faster paced. The ball stays low. A lot of teams use it in training to help make their players make quicker, faster decisions under pressure.
Oh, okay.
And it's really fun, and a lot of different ages can play it. You can play with 2 people, you can play with 10. It's super flexible, and you can do it on our hockey rinks. And so it's just something that is really flexible with that space.
Sure.
We're building Northern Arizona's premier BMX track. We're going to have a dedicated outdoor football field for Northern Arizona, and that's one of the things Prescott Valley's lacked for a long time is a football field. Right now, the town has a lot of soccer fields, and
Sure.
that gets shared, but soccer's super big, and football's been growing in our community, and we're really excited to be able to say, here is a football field for the youth in the community. We've also got the Arizona Roadrunners, which is a professional development team. They'll be hosting their first home game in June with us as well.
Oh, okay.
So we're really excited about that.
And then basketball, you said?
We'll have a little bit of basketball. When the YMCA comes around, they're going to be the premier basketball facility. That's
Sure.
really their thing.
You know, it sounds like they would complement each other too. The Wheelhouse Sports Complex and then the future YMCA that many of us are working on seeing come to fruition again here in Prescott Valley. So how complementary that you have a
Absolutely.
little bit of everything in both places.
Yep. So
you
we
know?
met with the YMCA early on in this
Right.
process and their steering committee, and really we do see a lot of crossover and opportunity.
Sure.
Again, it's all about how does Prescott Valley lead the way with youth in the region, and the Wheelhouse and the YMCA into the future. It's a huge, huge opportunity. So
Wow, yes.
we're going to be 7 days a week. Again, we have
Okay.
drop-in leagues, we have competitive leagues. If you want to just come try out a sport, we have that. We have every type of opportunity available. Even for kids whose families maybe are struggling financially, we have scholarship funds available. We want to make sure no child gets left behind. It does not matter your financial ability to participate. We have a way for you to be part of the Wheelhouse.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the courts. How is that space broken down?
Yep.
60,000 square feet of what?
Yeah, so 60,000 square feet, it sounds like a lot, but when you put two hockey rinks that are 12,000 square feet each in,
Okay.
and then you start putting in the individual locker rooms and the pro shop, and then the 6,000 square foot volleyball courts. And then
Volleyball?
Yep, the boxing ring. So we actually have a competitive boxing ring, boxing gym. We have the conditioning studio. We have a dance studio that's coming in. I mean, it eats up a lot of space really, really quickly. But what's great about the hockey rinks is we can play multiple sports. So if we have a volleyball tournament or clinic going on, we can have 8 volleyball games at the exact same time happening. We can have 2 hockey games going. On Saturday night, we can have 2 volleyball games, a hockey game, and public skating happening. So you can have date night, come out with music, the light show, do that while we have other activities that are happening all around the facility.
So how did you come up with this idea? I mean, that's a lot.
It is a lot. So my partner in the concept is Tracy Gosson. He owns Northern Arizona Prosthetics. His son has been playing hockey with us for many years now. And we were in Yuma at a hockey tournament saying, how can we go from playing at an outdoor rink in Prescott where every time it rains, every time it snows, we have to cancel.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to cancel for days, especially when it snows, to just being able to practice when the weather gets bad. And we started looking at that, and just my background in development, I started saying, what are we missing? What opportunities does the community want? Does it need? And we started doing that market research, and we really started to find, well, we don't have BMX, and people are traveling to Phoenix multiple times a week for that. We don't have futsal, and our soccer programs here are really diverse, but yet futsal is missing. And the bigger communities, that's a big part of the travel program. So we wanted to add that. We discovered the football through social media. As soon as we started posting, the feedback was instantaneous.
Right.
We need football fields in Prescott Valley. So we started looking at that. We talked to the town, and that became another aspect that we added. And it just started growing and growing. 85% of this project is funded by businesses and donors within the community, which has been a tremendous help. And that continues to be the case as we're finishing out construction and looking forward to, again, that huge community grand opening on May 6th.
Because you're getting done. I mean,
Yep.
it's kind of like you don't even know what's going on out there, and Charlie came and told me, well, we're going to have an open house. I said, are you done already? I mean, kudos to you. In a time when everything's pushed back, you've been able to keep in front of it and get it done. So, again, when is the community open house? We want to invite you to Wheelhouse Sports Complex coming up on
May 6th, we're going to open the doors at 1:30. You definitely want to be there at 5:30, though. That's when the ceremonial puck drop's going to happen. The kids are super excited about getting to play in that very first game. It's a chance to tour the facilities, find out about our memberships and all the different things that are going on.
Charlie Young. Thank you so much. We'll see you there that day. Part of PV Days weekend, just going out there. All right, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Okay. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
How prepared is your family if a wildfire shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or an earthquake? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
And welcome back to Community Connections. As you know, I love live theater, love live music, and I'm really excited my next guest. I have, first of all, one of my very, very dear friends, talented musician all over the place, Sky Conwell. How are you, Sky?
I'm good. How are you, Marnie? So good to see you.
It's so good to see you. And a new gentleman I just met, Mike Austin, who's the executive producer of a show coming up at Yavapai Performing Arts Center called The Soggy Band Plays the Music of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So I'm sure that's going to ring some bells for a lot of you. That music is lively, it's fun, it's crazy, and Mike, how'd you come up with this idea?
No, it's not my idea. I got to give this to Sky. He told me all about his idea that he had from years ago about putting on this little play, and I asked him, well, Sky, how about the script? Let me see your script. And he says, the script's all in my head. I said, no, Sky, it can't be. I said, give it to me on paper. Let me look at it. 2 days later, he gave me pages and pages of script that he wrote, and he said a few little modifications to it, and it's just turning it into a really fun-filled show.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it. Sky, okay, where did you come up with this idea?
Well, I don't remember. I had the idea several years ago, and there was a venue I wanted to do it at, a smaller venue, much smaller than Yavapai Performance Hall. But they didn't like the idea, and then they had new owners. I went to the new owners, and they didn't like the idea, so I kind of forgot about it. It was just a venue that does dinner shows and things. So I just thought it was just a regular dinner show. You know, you see my Waylon and Willie and my Eric Clapton and things like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just going to be another one like that. But then on Halloween, my friend Jim Kelly said, I had a full beard at that time, and he said I looked like George Clooney. And so I told him all about how, you know, I planned to do this show, and I was going to be the George Clooney character. And then the next day, I decided I'm just going to stop thinking about it and talking about it, and I'm going to plan it, and I'm going to do it.
Great idea. So the Soggy Bottom Band is your band, made up of a variety of musicians, right?
Correct. I chose the band from the best folk and bluegrass musicians in Prescott. So I hand chose them. We all have our own individual bands and our own individual projects, but we're all coming together for this one-time only event.
So now it's actually a show, not necessarily music concert. There's a little bit more involved in this, right?
Right. It's a little bit of both. It's the premise of the show is that the Soggy Bottom Boys, or the Soggy Bottom Band, is doing a concert several years after the end of the movie. So the characters will still be there, and we're on tour, and we're doing a show at the Performance Hall in Prescott. So you'll hear all of the music. 80% of it is music, but in between the songs, we kind of are in character, and we don't act out scenes from the movie. But if you've seen the movie, you'll get a kick out of the scenes that we put together in between the songs. A lot of weird things keep happening to us, just like in the movie.
So it keeps the flavor of the movie.
Exactly.
Hence the Hell Brother We're Out There.
Yes.
Okay, and so which part do you play?
I play Everett. I play George Clooney's character.
Now, are you going to grow your beard back?
I am. I've started to right now. Today's, what is this, in middle of April? Yeah, so by the time June 11 comes around,
yes.
I will have the full, you know, the little mustache thing that George Clooney's character had.
Wonderful. I mean, and you're made up of the musicians throughout the do other things, but you brought them together.
That's right.
Like the best of the best.
The best of the best. I got Gordy. Do you want me to tell you who's going to be in it?
Yeah.
Gordy Acree on the banjo. He's incredible. I'm sure you've seen him. When you see him, you'll know who I'm talking about. John Kennedy, fiddle player from Dewey, and he's won all kinds of crazy awards. Nick Canuel, everybody knows him.
Mm-hmm.
He plays mandolin in this band. Cal Greer on the upright bass. We've got, of course, Jet Montana is playing the part of Pete. And so he plays guitar, and the three main characters, Pete, Delmer, and Everett, myself, we're in the band, of course, as well. Mark O'Donnell plays the part of Tommy Johnson. Plays a part of Tommy Johnson from the movie. My friend Terry King plays my wife Penny, and a few other surprises I don't want to mention.
Okay, we're not going to mention it because this is actually really going to be quite a wonderful show at the Yavapai College Performing Arts Center. Mike Austin, now you are the executive producer, but
Yes.
You run all the behind-the-scenes business stuff.
That's exactly what I do.
Uh-huh.
We've put on a couple of fundraisers. It's costing a fortune to put this on, and neither Sky nor I had enough money to do it. So we've had a couple of fundraisers, and there are a few businesses around town who are sponsoring us.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Are we still looking for sponsors?
We are still looking for sponsors. You can find us at soggybottomproductions.com and or soggybottomproductions at gmail.com. So
soggybottomproductions@gmail.com. The show is Saturday, June the 11th at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6 p.m. It's going to be a lot of fun music. What a great idea. I mean, who didn't like toe tapping and listening to that music, and what a fun evening. I think it's going to be just a great idea to support you too, to give you some, I'm glad you're here joining us so we can talk about it, something new, unique, and, creative. And I know we want to hear a little music for it. So let's remind everybody, you can purchase your tickets online at the Yavapai College Performing Arts Center. That's ycpac.edu. You can purchase tickets online, or for information, soggybottomproductions@gmail.com.
Exactly.
Okay, well, Mike, thank you for joining us. Great job. I look forward to most shows. Sky, why don't you take us out of this show with a little music from Hey Brother, Where Art Thou?
I'd love to.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
In constant sorrow for all my days, I am a man of constant sorrow. I've seen troubles on the day. I've bid farewell to old Kentucky, place where I was born and raised, the place where he was born and raised. For 6 long years I've been in trouble, no pleasure here on earth I found. For in this world we're going to ramble, I have no friends to help me now. He has no friends to help me now. It's fairly well, well, my old true lover, I'll never see you again. For I'm bound to ride that railroad. Perhaps I'll die on this train. Perhaps he'll die on the train. You can bury me up on some valley many years where I may lay, and you may learn to love another while I'm sleeping in my grave, while he's sleeping in his grave. Maybe your friends think I'm a stranger, my face you'll never see no more. Oh, there's one promise that is given, I'll meet you on God's golden shore.